ಮಾಧವ ಗೋಪಾಲ ಕೇಶವ ಗೋವಿಂದ ಮಾಧವ ಗೋಪಾಲ ಕೇಶವ ಜಯ ನಂದ ಮುಕುಂದ ನಂದ ಗೋವಿಂದ ರಾಧೆ ಗೋಪಾಲ ಜಯ ನಂದ ಮುಕುಂದ ನಂದ ಗೋವಿಂದ ರಾಧೆ ಗೋಪಾಲ ಗೋವಿಂದ ಮಾಧವ ಗೋಪಾಲ ಕೇಶವ राधे गोपाल गिरिधारी गिरिधारी जय राधे गोपाल गिरिधारी गिरिधारी जय राधे गोपाल घनश्याम श्याम श्याम जय जय राधे गोपाल घनश्याम श्याम श्याम जय जय राधे गोपाल गोविंद माधव गोपाल केशव नंद गोविंद राधे गोपाल जय नंद मुकुंद नंद गोविंद राधे गोपाल गोविंद माधव गोपाल केशव सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ॐ भद्रं भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्तिः 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 ॐ अथाश्वलायनः भगवन्तं परमेष्ठिनम् उपसमेत्य उवाच अधीहि भगवन् ब्रह्मविद्यां वरिष्ठाम् सदा सद्भिः सेव्यमानां निगूढाम् यया चिरात् सर्वपापं व्यपोह्य परात् परं पुरुषं याति विद्वान् So the great Rishi Ashwalayana approached Lord Brahmājī. Who is Lord Brahmājī? Parameshtinam, established in the highest. Established in the highest world, established in the highest truth. After having approached in the right way, in the appropriate way, then Upasametya Uvacha, he asked. What did he ask? Hey Bhagavan, O Lord, Adhihi, please teach me. What is it that to be taught? Brahmavidya, the knowledge of Brahman, which is Varishtham, the greatest, the best. So yesterday we were seeing why this Brahmavidya is considered to be the best. Because it gives you the best. Therefore it is the best. It is that knowledge which gives you peace, contentment, joy, bliss, fulfillment. It is this knowledge which gives you immortality, infinity, divinity. It is this knowledge which frees you from all kinds of psychological bondage, psychological dependencies. It is this knowledge which frees you from birth-death cycle. It is this knowledge which makes you one with God. It is this knowledge which frees you from all kinds of confusions in life. It is this knowledge which puts an end to all questions in life. Therefore, this knowledge is considered as Varishta, the best. And moreover, this is the only knowledge which is true knowledge. Every other knowledge which gain in this world, it is the knowledge about the world, and unfortunately this world is an illusion. So whatever knowledge you gain in this world, about the world, will be an illusory knowledge. But this Brahmavidya is a true knowledge. Because it is not talking of the world, it is talking about the self which alone is real. Therefore, Varishtam, the best. So, O teacher, please initiate me into this knowledge. Please give me this knowledge. Varishtam. And since it is Varishtam, Sada Sadbihi Sevyamana. The one which is resorted to all great people, noble people, virtuous people, the most evolved people. For them, this knowledge is of the highest priority. Sadbihi. Because they know this value of this knowledge. Only when you know the value, you strive for it. Only when you have value for this knowledge, you do everything to get it. Higher your evolution, greater will be your understanding about life. And greater your understanding, there is more clarity in life. And accordingly, you will strive forth for things in life. A tamasic person, what is his philosophy? His philosophy is happiness comes from sleep. Happiness comes from rest. Right? So what will he do throughout his life? He will sleep, he will take rest. A rajasic person, what is his understanding about happiness? Happiness comes from wealth, name, fame, power, possession, pleasures. So how will he spend his time? He will spend his time in all kinds of extroverted activities. But as far as a sattvic person is concerned, who has a sattvic mind, such a person is called satbihi, satpurushehi, satpurushas. People who have a sattvic mind, a pure mind. Now, what is their understanding about life? They know happiness has nothing to do with the world. Happiness is my nature. Happiness has something to do with the thoughts in the mind. So therefore they pay more attention to the kind of thoughts they entertain. They pay more attention to the very source of happiness, which is the self. The grosser the mind, grosser will be the pleasures you are attracted to. As the mind becomes more and more subtler, as it becomes more and more purer, you start slowly getting attracted to this knowledge. Which knowledge? The self-knowledge. It cannot be forced. It cannot be forced on anyone. Because this attraction has to come naturally. This attraction towards this knowledge comes only when the mind is pure. Just like a piece of iron is attracted towards a magnet. But suppose that iron piece is covered with mud, then it is not attracted. In the same way, only a pure mind is attracted towards this knowledge. So therefore, sada sadbihi sevyamana. And since in the society you will always find tamasic people are the maximum, rajasic people less, and the sattvic people very rare. It's like a pyramid. Because the whole thing is an evolution. In evolution, the lesser evolved beings are more, higher evolved beings are less. So it is always like a pyramid. So naturally, people who seek this knowledge will be very rare in the society. You cannot have majority of the people striving for this knowledge. Because there is a price to be paid. There is a qualification which you have to attain to get pulled by this knowledge. And the qualification is purity of mind. Qualification is not in terms of caste, creed, religion, gender, nationality. No. Not even age. Qualification is sheerly the purity of mind. And that is why the term atha, thereafter, after having attained that purity, may not be in this birth, maybe in the past birth itself that person has attained. Therefore that person is pulled towards this knowledge. Right. Sada sadbhi sevimana. Somebody asked Puja Gurudev, Swamiji, why is it that in our study classes people are very less? So then Puja Gurudev gave an example. He said, in the vegetable market there are thousands of people, but in a jewelry shop, how many people enter? Hardly one or two in a day, isn't it? Why? Because in order to enter into a jewelry shop, there is a qualification. Your purse size should be big. It is not like a carrot or a beetroot, isn't it? You must have the purchasing power. In the same way, for this knowledge also, there is some kind of power needed. A qualification is needed. Not all are fit. That is why Puja Gurudev used to have yajnas with the doors always open. Why the doors are open? If the person is feeling suffocated while listening to satsang, so he is always free to walk out. Let him not disturb others through his suffocation. Doors are always open. Gurudev used to say, Mother Shruti herself will filter the people out. Those who are interested, they will come. Those who don't find any interest, those who don't understand anything, those who find it meaningless, and it is so, it is natural. For the gross minds, appreciating something subtle is difficult. Gross minds can understand only the gross things. In order to understand a subtle knowledge, you must have an equally subtle mind. And a pure mind is that subtle mind. And such a prepared mind is necessary in order to gain this knowledge. Therefore, sada sadbihi sevyamana. And then, next term, Nigūdhā. Nigūdhā means it's a top secret. It's hidden. Nigūdhā means it is hidden. This knowledge is a secret doesn't mean it should not be given in public. Even if you give it in public, only the fit ones will receive. That is the meaning. Why is it called a secret? It is a secret because the whole scripture is talking about me. But even when I read it, even when I listen to it, I am not able to understand it. It remains a secret. It is talking about whom? It is not talking about something different, something in the world. Something other than me, if it is talking, and if I am not able to understand, it is understandable. But here is a scripture which is talking about me, and I am not able to understand even when it is explained. That is why it is called Nigūdhā. It is called an open secret. It is open. It is there in the open, but it's a secret. It is not seen. It is not seen for whom? It is not seen for those who have not prepared their mind. It is not that it is not seen for everyone. No. There are people who are seeing it. But for the majority, it remains hidden. It remains a secret. You will use all kinds of means. You can use it. But it is of no use. Nayamatma pravachanena labhyaha na medhaya na bahuna shrutena, it is said. This Atma is not understood by those pravachanena, by listening lot of discourses. Na medhaya, not because of your extreme sharp intellect. No. Na bahuna shrutena, not by listening it for a long time. What is highlighted is the purity of mind that is needed. One has to go through the purification process in order to understand it, in order to appreciate it. Now, what are those purification processes? It is not mentioned in this Upanishad because it is understood that an Upanishad student has already purified the mind. Now, what is the way of purification? Karma Yoga is the way of purification. So, this person has intelligently lived life, performing all his duties and responsibilities as a worship of the Lord, receiving all the results from the world as prasada buddhi. This way, when a person lives in this world, his mind becomes pure, he becomes fit student of Vedanta. Right. So it is Nigūdhā. It remains hidden. Mother Scripture herself puts that entrance test. That gate is opened only for those who have a pure mind. Nigūdhām. Then what is the next term? Yaya achirat sarva papam vyapohya. Yaya, by which, that knowledge by which, vyapohya, discarding, sarva papam, all sins. Now what is this sin? In spiritual literature, sin is that which disturbs your mind. Anything that disturbs your mind is a sin. This is how it is defined. After doing a particular action, look at your own state of mind. Is it disturbed? Then it is a sin. So what determines whether you have done a punya or papa? It is not the action, it is the intention. And the state of the mind depends on the intention behind performing the action and not action itself. For the outer world, you might have done a punya karma, a noble action. But if the intention behind performing that action is selfish, self-centered, then that action becomes papa. And what happens when you perform that action? That performance of action leaves behind a mark, an impression. And that impression is called vasana. So we have performed so many actions in so many lives. All those actions have left behind certain marks. And this aggregate marks or impressions are called vasanas. It is this vasana which is called the impurity of the mind. And it is this vasana which prevent us from knowing the reality. So what happens to a person who practices this knowledge, gains this knowledge? Sarva papam vyapohya. He becomes free from all kinds of papas. He becomes free from all kinds of sinful tendencies, vasanas. The mind becomes free. How does he become free from all kinds of sins? What this knowledge does is, it kills the very sinner, which is nothing but the ego. What does this Brahmavidya do? The Brahmavidya does only one thing. It destroys the ego, which is the root of all sins. Once the ego, the sinner, is destroyed, there is no more any possibility of committing further more sins. Every other method destroys only the sins, but this Brahmavidya destroys the very sinner himself, so that the very possibility of committing any sin doesn't arise. So that is why it is said, what? Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitram iha vidyate. There is no greater purifier than jnanam, knowledge. It is the greatest purifier. It not only destroys your past sins, it prevents you from committing further sins in the future. Therefore, it is called the greatest purifier. So thus, yaya, by which, achirat, very soon, without much time. There is no time delay. The whole time delay is only in purifying the mind, not in gaining knowledge. To the extent your mind is purified, to that extent you can absorb this knowledge, grasp this knowledge. The delay is because the mind is not yet pure. So, achirat sarva papam vyabohya, discarding all papas, all sinful tendencies. What happens to him? Such a vidwan, the knower of the truth, vidwan. Parat param purusham yati, he attains yati. What does he attain? Purusham, the supreme self, the supreme being, which is parat param, beyond para. Beyond para means beyond prakriti, beyond Māyā. Parat param, beyond prakriti, beyond Māyā, beyond matter, beyond this illusory world of names and forms. He attains that supreme truth. So these are all the adjectives, glorification of Brahmavidya. That Brahmavidya, which is the greatest and the best, which is resorted to by the wise people, which is a great secret for those who are not prepared their mind, which destroys all kinds of sinful tendencies and which takes a person to the ultimate reality. That Brahmavidya. So what is the request? Oh Lord, please teach me. Adhihi. This is the request. Now we will see whether Brahmājī teaches him or not. Should he teach him? Should he teach him? Yes. Why should he teach him? Look at the way that student has approached the teacher. With all humility, all reverence, all respect and love. When a student comes to a teacher, the teacher feels like pouring out all the knowledge, whatever he has, isn't it? The comparison given is like the cow releasing its milk into the udder when that cow sees its own calf. Isn't it? That is the attitude. So when a student comes with this kind of attitude, a teacher has no other way. He willingly pours out whatever he knows. Everything. So that is mentioned in the next verse. Tasmai sahovacha pitāmahascha Shraddhā bhakti dhyana yogadavaihi Tasmai sahovacha pitāmahascha Shraddhā bhakti dhyana yogadavaihi. Yes, tasmai, to him, to Ashwalayana Rishi, sa PITΑMAHA, that PITAMAHA, that grandsire, ha uvacha, he spoke. So that was a question earlier. Ashwalayana had asked, please teach me. So answering that question, now PITAMAHA is answering. Now see the term used here, PITAMAHA. Earlier what was the term used for Lord Brahmājī? Parameshti. And now the term used is PITAMAHA. What is PITAMAHA? Grandsire, a grandfather, isn't it? Why is he called a grandfather? Brahmājī produced only Manasa Putras, mind-born children. From mind-born children came the entire parampara, isn't it? Creation came from those mind-born children. So there are two stages. So therefore he becomes our grandfather. Moreover, the love which grandparents have for their grandchildren, it is much more sweeter in nature, isn't it? You can never find grandparents scolding grandchildren. They pamper them, love them so much, isn't it? Isn't it? Love is more sweeter. And there is a great match also between them. They go well with each other. Grandparents and grandchildren. So when it is said grandparent, now see the terms used. Earlier Parameshti was used in order to highlight his knowledge, his greatness. Right? Now what is the term used? PITΑMAHA. Means what? Now here is the teacher who is going to extol the knowledge with lot of love. With lot of love. That is very much essential. Guru has to give the knowledge with love, with compassion. So all these things are mentioned in one term, PITΑMAHA. That great grandfather. With lot of love, with lot of compassion, with lot of eagerness and anxiety to see that his student gets everything. With that feeling he spoke. Right? Another important thing. What is another important thing? Lessons which we have to learn. The lesson is, unless somebody seeks advice, never give them. Ashvalayana sought advice, therefore he is getting the advice. What is our problem? Even when nobody asks, wants our advice, we are eager to give advice. There's a very beautiful verse which says, Vāchyam Shraddhā sametasya pritchatascha visheshatah Shraddhā hīnasya tu proktam aranyaruditopamam. Vāchyam, you must tell, you must advise. Whom? Shraddhā sametasya, the one who has Shraddha, faith in you. Pritchatascha visheshatah, and those who have sought your advice, you must tell. But Shraddhā hīnasya, those who don't have any Shraddha, if you give advice, it will be equal to aranya ruditopamam. It will be like crying in the wild forest. You will shout at the top of your voice, but the person is not listening. So this is one lesson to be learned. Brahmājī gives advice because the student sought advice. Right. Now, what is the answer he gives? Tasmai, to that Ashvalayana, PITΑMAHA. Brahmājī, he said, what did he say? Shraddhā bhakti dhyana yogat avaihi. Attain this Brahmavidya by Shraddhā, bhakti and dhyana yoga. 3 things. All the 3 are very important. Capsule form. My dear child, if you want to gain this knowledge, these 3 are unavoidable. Very, very essential. So what is the first one? Shraddha. Faith in the knowledge. Knowledge has to come from the teacher, therefore faith in the teacher, Guru. Right. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. Bhagavad Gita also says it. Shraddha is the faith in the knowledge. Bhakti is the love for the knowledge. And Dhyana Yoga is the efforts put forth in the right direction to gain the knowledge. So these 3 are not only applicable for this knowledge, it is applicable for everything. Faith in the knowledge, love for the knowledge, and right effort put in gaining the knowledge. The 3 things. First, let us talk about Shraddha, faith. You will find especially in spirituality, in spiritual literature, everywhere the Shraddha is given very much importance. Faith. As far as other branches of science, knowledge is concerned, Shraddha is of not much importance. Because in other fields, the results can be proved scientifically. So when something can be proved scientifically, that proof itself is a verification that the knowledge is right. Isn't it? Electronics and communication. Whether that branch of knowledge is right or wrong, how do you know? You have devices which works based on that knowledge. And those devices work perfectly well. Whether it is a mobile phone or iPad or iPod, whatever, I don't know. All those electronic instruments function perfectly well. So what does it mean? That science is perfect. You have a proof in your hand. Right? Every science. But as far as spirituality is concerned, you can't prove it and then go after it. It's not possible. There is something called Supreme Self. If you say, first prove it, then I will walk this path. Sorry. Puja Gurudev used to say, if you want to prove God, improve yourself. You improve yourself and then you yourself will come to know whether God exists or not. So then how to begin? Always you have to begin with faith. Yes, if the teacher is telling it, it must be true. Let me try out. So with an open-mindedness, you have to approach this path. So what is this faith? Faith is a feeling within, a kind of open-mindedness which tells you that this guru, this scripture cannot be wrong. They must be right. Something in you tells. You are not seeing the results. You are not experiencing the results. You may not be able to understand also. But even then, something within says, they are right. Let us follow. That the faith is very much connected to the purity of mind. To the extent your mind is pure, to that extent you will find that this faith comes natural to you. Look at a small child. If you want to take the best example of faith, it is small children. The child has climbed a tree and now you ask the child, jump from there, I will catch you. The child will jump. An elderly person, you tell the same thing, jump, I will catch you. He will not jump. Right? Something in you tells that this cannot be wrong. It has to be right. And now Shraddha is mentioned as the first term because without Shraddha there is no possibility of taking even the first step. You put forth effort in a direction only when you have faith in the direction, in the goal. So therefore, the first step is Shraddha, faith. Now the faith in spirituality is very much emphasized because all the statements which the scriptures, which the Guru is going to utter, is going to contradict all your experiences, all your understanding. For example, in my understanding, I am a mortal being. A being which has a date of birth, which will have a date of death. Someday I will die. What does the scripture say? You are immortal. See, it is contradicting your experience. According to my understanding, I am a finite being with all my limitations and imperfections. What does the scripture say? You are an infinite being. You are absolutely perfect. Perfection is your nature. Right? Now again there is a contradiction. Right? According to my experience, I am a miserable being. What does the scripture say? You are Ananda Swarupa. You are of the nature of infinite bliss. again there is a contradiction. Right? According to my understanding, world is absolutely real because I am seeing it through my own senses. World is very much real. What do the scriptures say? World is an illusion. Whatever you have understood about the world, the scriptures are there to prove it wrong. According to my understanding, I am living in the world. The scripture says, sorry, you are not living in the world is in you. You are not in the world is in you. How can this infinite world be in me, this finite being? The scripture says, what to do? That is the truth. Right? According to my understanding, it is this world which is giving me peace, happiness, misery, everything. Suffering also comes from the world. Happiness also comes from the world. This is my understanding. What does the scripture say? You alone are the cause for your misery as well as your happiness. It is not the world. Don't blame the world. You are the cause. You suffer because of yourself. Don't blame the world. This is again going against my day-to-day experience. According to my understanding, with my sense organs, with my intellect, I come to know there is nothing called God. God is unreal. What does the scripture say? Scripture say God alone is real. Right. And if at all I believe in God, according to me, God is somewhere far, far away. Somewhere in some heavens. What does the scripture say? It is not far, far away. It is very, very near. It is not even near. It is you. Now this is a, what you call, bolt from the blue, as they say. Me, God, impossible. Isn't it? Now when such are the statements made by the scriptures, any person with common sense will say, this guru is mad. Something has happened to this guru. Maybe too much of meditation has heated up the brains and it has melted all the wires inside the brain. Isn't it? Right. But to stick on, in spite of all these contradictory statements, stick on to the Guru and saying, oh Guru, if you have made these statements, definitely it must be true. Because I know you will never tell a lie. You can never be dishonest. I have been seeing you. What a wonderful life you are living. You are a role model for me. You are an embodiment of all noble virtues. The shishya knows the Guru well. That is why in the olden times, the Guru and the shishya, they were asked to live in an ashram, in the Gurukula. The shishyas were asked to serve the teacher for a long time, so that the shishyas, the disciples, will know what kind of teacher they have. And the teacher also will know what kind of disciples he has got. Isn't it? They know each other. So naturally, when a person lives with such a noble-hearted teacher, over a period of time, he develops such an amount of love and respect and reverence for the teacher. Because all those noble virtues are seen pulsating in the teacher. Love, compassion, forgiveness, humility, large-heartedness, selflessness. These are the things which the shishyas are seeing them in their own teacher. Whatever they see in the scriptures, as far as the scripture is concerned, it is dead and inert. But whatever values are mentioned in the scriptures, they are seeing it in their teacher. Right? So when such a teacher tells, when such a teacher makes such statements, he has got faith in the teacher, and therefore naturally whatever statements come from the teacher, he will have faith in them also. Right? The first step is faith. Oh teacher, if you are telling this, you must be right. Even though I am not able to understand it, Even though I am not able to believe it also sometimes, even though it is going against all my present state of understanding, present state of logic, even then I accept that you must be right. You cannot be wrong. It is impossible. That sense of feeling from within is called faith. Faith is the first step. Then comes everything else. So Shraddha. After Shraddha what? Bhakti. Bhakti means love. Loving the higher is called bhakti. Loving the lower is called āsakti. Here the term used is bhakti. Desha bhakti, Ishvara bhakti, Guru bhakti, Matru bhakti, Pitru bhakti. Isn't it? Anything higher than us, we use the term bhakti. Anything lower than us, the emotion is the same, but we use the term āsakti, which takes you down, pulls you down. Vishaya bhakti you don't say. What do you say? Vishaya āsakti. Ishvara āsakti you don't say. You say Ishvara bhakti, isn't it? That which pulls you down is called āsakti. Very interestingly, in English also such usages are there. He fell in love with her. What is this falling in love? It is not rising in love, it is falling in love. Unknowingly things, fall in place, you see. See the language used, falling in love. So here the term used is bhakti. Devotion, that's the right term. Love for the higher is called devotion. Bhakti. So what is this bhakti? It is intense love for this knowledge. And it is very, very essential. It is this love which makes you do things which appear to be impossible. Love makes impossible possible. It is true with this worldly love also. It is true. People are passionate about so many things in this world, isn't it? That's called as passion, intense passion. In the worldly style, it is called as passion. When you are passionate about something, you are ready to give your life for it. So in the same way, for this knowledge also, yes, you must have intense love. Look at this sports world. What is that game? F1, Formula 1 car racing. How many people have died? A little mistake, a little carelessness, and everything is gone. Isn't it? But even then, those who are passionate about it, they still go. You have to spend a lot of money from your own pocket. Even then they go. Isn't it? It's a question of life and death. But they do it. Why? They are passionate about it. People who climb Everest. Oh my God. Number one, lot of investment. Lakhs of rupees you have to use because the equipments are very costly. And then as you walk higher and higher, anything can happen. It is said that dead bodies are lying here and there. Those people who attempted and failed, they are dead. And in that ice, these bodies are frozen. It is all seen. So many years and decades back, somebody died and his body is there. Right? And even after seeing all that, in the night they climb. They don't climb in the morning, they climb in the night. In the night. In that cold weather. There is no guarantee that he will come back. The climate can change any time. And what is that? Avalanche or whatever. Anything can happen. Oxygen is very less. The cylinder can go out of oxygen any time. In spite of that, they climb. Why do they climb? What is it that they are going to get after climbing? The Everest doesn't become theirs. People climb and go, but the Everest still remains there. What is it that you get? You get nothing, literally speaking. But that passion drives you higher and higher, isn't it? Any subject, if you have to really master that subject, even in the case of worldly subject I am saying, worldly knowledge also, if you have to master, you have to have that kind of passion towards that knowledge. Then you go higher and higher. This is called as swadharma. Many times youngsters are confused which branch to take. Should I take engineering? Should I take medicine? Should I take law? Should I take business? Bhagavad Gita says, Swadharme nidhanam shraya. What is it that which you love? Take it. You may not get lot of money, doesn't matter. You may not be appreciated, doesn't matter. Even then you should take that alone. Because in that alone, you can move higher. But many times what is happening? Youngsters, they take because their friends are taking it, therefore they take. My friends are there, so to remain with my friends, I take that branch. It won't help. Or sometimes they take seeing the, money aspect. All those things. Anyway, coming back. Unless you have passion for a subject, you can't move forward. That is why Brahmājī says bhakti. When there is a passion for that knowledge, even the difficulties become an opportunity for you. You don't see it as difficulties, you see it as opportunity. Thomas Alva Edison, he was testing this, he was trying to make this bulb. It is said 2000 experiments he conducted. He was not able to find the right metal for making the filament. So somebody came and asked, Sir, you have failed 2000 times. What do you have to say about it? Edison said, now I know 2000 ways in which bulb cannot be made. So don't say it's a failure. It is only adding to my knowledge. See, you don't find excuses when you are passionate about something. As it is said, where there is a will, there is a way. And when there is love, there comes will automatically. Your brain starts creatively thinking, which nobody had ever thought before. That ability is there in the mind. Intuitively, it starts finding solutions. The problems which appear to be solutionless, it finds problem. It finds solutions. There's a very nice story which I read. So there was this farmer. He used to farm his land. He had a son. His wife was also there. So the farming used to happen. One day what happened? The son was caught by the police. He did not do anything wrong. It's a misunderstanding. The son was caught and he was put behind bars, prison. Well, this farmer, only son, he was in the jail. And unfortunately, mother also passed away. So this old man was there. So one day he wrote a letter to his son who was in the jail. My dear son, this year I don't think farming is possible because your mother is not there. Your mother loved farming so much. I am old now. I can't plow this land and all that. And you are also not there. I think this year farming is not possible. The son, from the prison, he wrote a telegram. Father, don't farm. Under that land, farming land, I have hidden guns. He wrote a telegram. I have hidden weapons, guns under it. Don't plow the land. Next day, the investigation team, early in the morning, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, they landed there. Started plowing the whole place, digging everywhere, searching for guns. They could not find anything. Disappointed, all of them left. Then the son writes a letter to father. My dear father, go ahead. This is all what I can do now. Right. What I am trying to say is, when you have a passionate desire to attain something, you find ways. There is nothing impossible for you. This is only possible when there is bhakti. Bhakti means love. Love for the field, love for subjects. All great people, whoever has attained greatness in their own fields, they had this one thing, mainly bhakti. So naturally, the same qualification is necessary, even more for this subject also, bhakti. First is Shraddha, the second is bhakti. Apple fell on Newton's head, and he discovered theories and laws of gravitation. On many of our heads also, apples have fallen. But nothing has happened. Isn't it? Why? Because that passion was not there. There was no such desire to invent something, discover something. But Newton did it. Right? So this is about bhakti. This bhakti for this knowledge. Now we are talking of Brahmavidya. So Shraddha towards Brahmavidya, bhakti towards Brahmavidya, this knowledge. This love for this knowledge is necessary, because en route you will find lots and lots of obstacles. In this path of spirituality, it is not a bed of roses. You will find lot of difficulties. And who will create all these difficulties? Remember, not the world. Difficulties are created by your own mind. The extroverted, impure, sensuous, indisciplined, stubborn, tamasic, rajasic, this mind will create all trouble. Now you need tremendous amount of patience while dealing with this mind. The progress is also going to be slow and steady. Continuously you have to keep on applying yourself. Very many times you will fall. Thousands. Swami Vivekananda used to say, thousands of times you will fall. Dust your back and get up and walk. Keep walking. For that, what is that inspiring force? The inspiring force is nothing but this bhakti. Even when you fall, you learn lessons and move forward. Right? Whatever mistakes you have made, you see to it that you don't commit those mistakes again. But again you will commit. Again you will commit the same mistake. Doesn't matter again. The mind will tempt you in so many ways. The mind will cheat you in so many ways. But slowly, you will ascend the path of yoga. But for all this, what is that constant thing needed? It is this bhakti and of course Shraddha. Shraddha and bhakti, it has to be there throughout. So this is the qualification the mind should possess. And of course, Shraddha and bhakti is nothing but the purity of mind. A pure mind will have Shraddha, will have bhakti. Once having, attained these two qualifications, what is the next thing to be done? Dhyana yoga. Third one. So what is this Dhyana yoga? It is the effort you put, or the meditational practices. That is the right way. Meditational practices. So this mind which is filled with Shraddha Bhakti, now this mind has to be applied. So one is preparation of the mind, next is application of the mind. Prepare the mind, apply the mind. Suppose you want to cut a tree, what is the first thing you do? You sharpen the axe and then cut, isn't it? So prepare the acts, apply the acts. In the same way, Shraddha Bhakti is preparation of the mind. And once the mind is prepared, apply the mind. Apply the mind in meditational practices. Now, what are those meditational practices? They are three. They are Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana. These are the three. Shravana, listening. Listening to the scriptures. Listening to the words of the Master. So when we are talking of listening, it is not Katha Shravanam. Listening to some Ramayana story. No. When we talk of Shravanam, it is Shravana of Vedāntic scriptures, where Jiva Ishvara Aikya is mentioned. The Jiva is none other than Ishvara. Such statements are taken up and such arguments are furnished based on that. Then only it becomes Shravana. Merely listening to some stories in the Purana is not called Shravana. That is good. It will help you purification of mind. But when it comes to gaining knowledge, it has to be knowledge-related statements. Then only it can be called as Shravana. So in Shravana, what is important? Shraddha Bhakti is important. Unless you love the knowledge, you cannot pay attention to the knowledge. You love it, therefore you are paying attention. This paying attention is called Dhyana there. So in Shravana, there is Dhyana. You are paying attention, carefully listening. What is it that the teacher is telling? What are the statements he is making? So you just gather information from the teacher. So in Shravana, what is happening is you are gathering information. Once you have gathered information, next step is Manana. You have gained the information from the teacher, but many of these informations doesn't match with your present understanding about yourself. There are contradictions. You have understood yourself as something, but the teacher is telling something totally different. Then what has to be done? Naturally the question comes, how can that be true? Isn't it? This is called doubt, samshaya. I have gained an information which is not matching with my present understanding. When there is a mismatch, what appears is a doubt. So what should I do when I have doubt? Doubt can be cleared only through logical, sensible statements. So somebody has to build a bridge between my present state of understanding and the information furnished by the scripture. There should be a bridge. Somebody has to tell, see, you are wrong because of this. That is right because of that. This is the way you are going wrong. Correct yourself this way and then you will reach this. So this kind of logical statements, which is convincing, also has to come from the teacher. So it has to happen in Shravanam only. So in Shravanam you gain information. In Shravanam you gain the sufficient logics behind supporting those information of the scriptures. So at Mananam stage what you do is, you take up this information and do the churning. So what should be the end result of Manana? End result of Mananam is, you have a doubt-free understanding, which is called as conviction. In Shravana, you gain information. In Manana, you gain conviction. All your doubts are cleared. There are no more doubts. Shravanena ajnana nivrittihi, mananena samshaya nivrittihi. Now what else is needed? Now the most important thing. Nididhyasanena vasana nivrittihi. The third one. You are convinced that yes, whatever the scriptures are telling is right, because logically it makes sense. But is that alone enough? That alone is not enough, because for so many years you have been living in the wrong direction, thinking in the wrong direction, behaving in the wrong direction, so that momentum is there. Deep channels have been cut in your mind groove. Deep grooves have been cut in your mind. So naturally, therefore, because of that momentum of the past, you tend to think in the wrong direction, even though you are convinced that the other thing is right. The tendency to think in the wrong direction is always there. What is the tendency to think in the wrong direction? I am a jiva. I am a limited finite being. I am not Satchidananda Swarupa. Because so many years you have been living that way. I am a man. I am a woman. What does the scripture say? You are pure consciousness. You are not this. Right? That huge ship which is going in a particular direction. Suppose it has to turn back. Can it happen in a split of a moment? No. So engine has been working in this particular direction. Now suppose the ship has to turn back. The engine may turn back, but still the ship will continue to move forward because of that past momentum, isn't it? So what is done in Nididhyasana? Every time the thinking becomes wrong, every time mind takes to the past wrong thinking channel, every time what you have to do? You have to be alert, withdraw that thinking and set the direction of thinking in the right direction. This is what you do in Nididhyasana. So fill up the old grooves of wrong thinking and start cutting the new grooves of right thinking. This is done in Nididhyasana. It takes time. Rather, it takes the maximum time. Shravana, very less time. Manana, little more time. Nididhyasana, lifelong. Takes long time. Because the momentum is so strong. Right? When can I say that the knowledge has become mine? So the first stage, information. So through Shravana, information has been gained. Through Manana, you have gained conviction. Through Nididhyasana, this conviction becomes transformation. Your personality is transformed. Your way of thinking is transformed. Earlier, you were negatively reacting to situations. Now you positively respond to situations. When this happens, we say the process of Nididhyasana is complete. What is the proof? You are able to respond based on the Vedāntic knowledge. It has become effortless in you. It has been totally assimilated in you. Well digested. When the knowledge is well digested, even in dream, that alone comes. In fact, you don't dream. Whatever is well digested, whatever has gone deep into your subconscious mind, that alone comes out. Isn't it? So in Nididhyasana, what is happening is all your vasanas, old vasanas go away. This new line of thinking gains root. And for this constant application is needed. That is why Dhyana Yoga, paying attention, that is more important. In Shravana, you pay attention. In Manana, you pay attention. In Nididhyasana, you pay attention. There is nothing mechanical. Effortless thing comes only once it has become a part of your nature. Then everything is effortless. But till then, paying attention. Right? So in all these processes, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, Shraddha, Bhakti, till the end. Till the end. A mind filled with Shraddha, Bhakti alone can do Shravana, Manana and Nididhyasana. So, oh my dear child, do you want Brahmavidya? Then do this. What is to be done? Capsule form. Shraddha, Bhakti, Dhyana Yoga, Avaihi. Attain this. Oh Guru, is there any shortcut? We always want shortcut. This is too much. Developing Shraddha, Bhakti, and then doing Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana is too much. Is there any shortcut? If you want the best, you have to pay the best price. Isn't it? Duplicates you can get plenty. But if you want the original, you have to pay the highest price. Every field. Isn't it? So now Bhagavan says, there are no shortcuts. Let it be very clear to you. Next words. Na karmana na prajaya dhanena tyage naike amritatva manashuhu parena nakam nihitam guhayam vibhrajate yatayo vishanti Vedanta vijnana sunischitarthaha Sannyasa yoga yataya shuddha sattvaha Te brahmalokeshu parantakale Paramritat parimucyanti sarve Na karmana na prajaya dhanena tyage naike amritatva manashuhu parena nakam nihitam guhayam vibhrajate yatayo vishanti Vedanta vijnana sunischitarthaha sannyasa yoga yataya shuddha sattvaha te brahmalokeshu parantakale paramritat parimucyanti sarve. Yes, how to attain it? How to attain that highest knowledge? That is being discussed now. Na karmana, not by action. Na prajaya, not by progeny. Na dhanena, not by wealth. Tyage naike, only by renunciation. Amritatvam anashuhu, one attains immortality. Are you a desirer of immortality? That highest state, that highest truth, then all the normal means of attaining things will not work. The path is something different. This topic we will take up tomorrow because it is once I start, I cannot break. So it's a complete topic. For that we have to understand the fundamentals of Vedanta. But what is this renunciation? People have a lot of wrong notions about this tyage naike. So what is this tyaga? For that we will have to have a basic understanding of Vedantic knowledge. That we will take up tomorrow. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyanto Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhave Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.